But for now, there's a unique situation at the Makola market. There's mad rush for some subsidized food items at the market as the Ministry of Food and Agriculture storms the area today with what it calls the Planting for Food and Jobs Market. Of course, on your screens now are excerpts of what transpired earlier today. In the wake of escalating prices of food stuff on the market, government believes that they need to bridge the gap of transportation costs, which actually remains a major driver of inflation of food prices. And they believe that by intervening, this could see a slump in the food prices in the coming days. Earlier today, scores of market women and members of the general public were seen pouring out their numbers, as you can see on the screens right now, in demand of that PFJ produce. Well, my colleague Mamiesi Thompson is live at the Makola market with more for us. Mamiesi, what can you report? And unfortunately, it appears we're having some challenges hearing Mamiesi Thompson, who's live there for us. But I want to bring in now Isa Al-Hassan with one, Press Secretary to the Minister for Agriculture and Food as well. Thank you, Isa Al-Hassan, for joining us here on the polls. First of all, what we see on our screens right now is obviously an indication that people would want to buy food items once the prices are down. But are you able to confirm if you'd be able to sustain this as a ministry? Isa Al-Hassan, if you can hear me, I'm just asking if you'd be able to sustain the exercise that you're running now, because on the screens we can see scores of market women and lots of people pouring out just to buy the plantain that we're seeing on the screens. And beyond that, there is the question as to whether or not you'll be able to match up the demand so you don't end up creating another situation of inflation, even on the produce that you're trying to reduce the prices for. Isa Al-Hassan, if you can hear me, I'm just asking if you'll be able to sustain this. It appears we're having some challenges there, but of course the minority in Parliament has been tearing into the government's Planting for Food and Jobs Market introduced by the Agric Ministry. The ministry of course, cuts food from the rural area, transports them to Accra to sell at a cheaper price. But speaking to Joy News, minority spokesperson for Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, claimed that government has misdiagnosed the cause of the rising food prices.
Now, the rising food prices is not attributed to shortage in the market. It is attributable to rising cost of production. But I followed what was happening in the PFJ market at the ministry. And the women complained that the prices are the same. They said the value is the same. They don't see any significant difference in the prices of food in the market and that of the PFJ market. So it means that the minister got it wrong. If the price had come down, they would have admitted that, yes, the price has come down because of the market. Now they are saying that the value is the same. And I heard one woman even saying that what she bought from the market was even cheaper than what is buying at the PFJ market. So that is the difference.
Well, so that's the position of the minority on this. Let's bring in Isa Al-Hassan. Earlier, we're having some challenges to your connection. I was just asking how sustainable this approach will be. The fact that you are carting food from rural community into urban areas such as Accra. Isa Al-Hassan, if you can hear me, I'm just asking if you feel this is a sustainable approach.
Thanks for having me, my brother. I'm sorry there was some distractions on the network. So yes, we answer the question of sustainability by indicating to Ghanaians that, look, we are actually not in normal times, as the president has always said. And so the question about sustainability is not what we want to address right now. What we are trying to do right now is that, look, we went to the various regions across the country and we found out that food is so cheap and so much available in the local communities, to the extent that some of them are virtually giving it out for free. So the question is, considering the current economic challenges facing Ghanaians and the fact that we have civil and local government workers who live in the morning from their homes to the office and get to the house around sometime 9, 10 p.m. What can we do as a ministry, considering the fact that there's so much food available in the local communities, to help sustain them in the course of this, in the midst of this economic hardship? So our view, our vision is to look. We want to first one make sure that these things are available to our local staff and the civil servant, and also show to Ghanaians that indeed food can be a bit moderately affordable if we can do away with the usual profiteering that some of the middlemen and market women are known of, because we know that we are not normal, as I
Hassan,
said. So people
Isa Al Hassan,
try to
I guess at this point it's not fair to say this is a case of profiteering. We've heard from the market women; they've complained on countless occasions about how the increasing fuel prices is affecting transport. That's a major factor for inflation. So why say that the market women are engaged in profiteering? Isa Al Hassan, can you hear me?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm getting some distractions.
Yes.
So
So
what
I'm
I'm
just
saying is
asking
that
why you're accusing the market women of engaging in profiteering.
no, we are not. We are not accusing any market women. Let's be very clear about that. What we are saying is that what the market women are going through, we are so much aware about the fuel prices and then the transportation and all that. We are so much aware of, very much aware of that. But what we are saying is that the prices that we are giving here, we have also factored all those things into consideration. Look, my brother, if you are to cut food from, let's say, Sevi to Accra, you should have gone through about 3 stages, middlemen. And we know that in every stage of the marketing value chain, everyone wants to add their profit margin onto it. So what we have done as a ministry is that, look, we want to cut the food straight from the production side with a base price and bring them to the market centers for local government staff and other people to also enjoy. We don't want to be sound to be accusing. No. What we are saying is that yes, their challenges are ongoing, but if we have to be moderate in our prices, we all know what happened few weeks ago when cooking oil was going as high as 1,002. Now it has come back to 550. What may have accounted for that? So these are the issues that we are talking about. We are not accusing any market men of anything.
Okay. So let's get a sense out of this. Who's responsible for the transportation and where's the source, or what's the source of funding for the transportation arrangement?
So let's set this clear.
Yeah.
The food, we are saying that even without this ministry involvement, we have people that cut food from the local, production side to the market centers. These individual businessmen are what minister was able to negotiate with them and said that, look, let's cut away all the various middlemen and get to the base. So when we got to the base, we saw a lot of farmers who were even ready to, as it were, bring the produce straight away to the market center, to the big cities to sell. Take for instance, Agogo plantain market. There are some women who buy these plantain, who cut these plantain from their farms and then sell them to people and who bring them to Accra. So we met this woman and said that, madam, we want to get this food very much affordable to our people. So what can you do to help us? She agreed to cut the food straight from Agogo to Accra, and that is one of the benefits that we are paying.
Isa, I guess I'll put my question across again. I'm asking about the transport arrangement. Who's responsible for funding the transport? Because if I'm a businessman and I'm transporting this produce, ideally from such a long distance, at a time when fuel prices are up, you don't expect me to do that for the same price that you're selling on the market.
No, so now we all admit that our price here is cheaper compared to the OP market.
Precisely.
Right? Exactly. So then, before I joined your Zoom, we had Honorable Eric Opoku making argument that people say that it's the same. So that argument is not defeated. We want to make sure that argument is not defeated.
No, I get the point, but then why I'm asking the question is because the feeling is you're creating another problem on the side because you're now using taxpayers' money to transport food
to taxpayers' money.
So,
what I'm saying is
so how then are you funding the transport? How then are you funding the transport? Yeah.
Listen, they say that apart from the transportation, when they get to the barrier, police barrier, and all that, they are charged certain monies. That has been taken out, okay? And then we are, like I indicated, some of the market middlemen that are involved in cutting plantain, for instance, to Accra, have been taken out. And so all those profit margins that were supposed to have been added to the ultimate pricing for the ultimate consumer have been taken out. And that's how come our prices are cheaper.
It's really interesting that you're talking about police corruption. Isa, kindly hold on for...
No, I never mentioned police corruption.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that when they get to the border towns, okay, when they get to the police barrier, they have certain... they go through certain...
and they end up paying monies they're not supposed to pay. Okay. Isa...
It's coming from them.
Okay.
Us.
Right. Yes. I'm not challenging. I'm actually not challenging your position on this because obviously you've engaged the traders, so you have an idea of what's happening.
But you're interested in what you're interested in what the ministry is putting through.
Yes, precisely. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in detail. I just want you to hold on for us briefly. Let's also hear from some of the market women. My colleague Mamiesi Thompson is also there right now at the Makola market, engaging the market women on how this is. Of course, panning out there. So, Mamiesi, if you can hear us, just give us a sense of what's happening, and then we'll hear from Isa Al-Hassan on what the way forward is.
All right, so Blessed, I'm currently at Makola, just opposite or right by the Makola fire station, and that was where, or that particular spot was where the Ministry of Agric brought in a truck of plantains to sell earlier this morning to the public here. I'm told that as early as 4 a.m. there was a truck full of plantain here, but it started selling at about 8 a.m. Before midday, the whole truck of plantains had finished. There were so many people here rushing for the plantains because a bunch of plantains was selling for 10 cedis, as low as 10 cedis. And I mean, that amount or that price for a bunch of plantain, you can't get anywhere in the market. In fact, I spoke to a couple of plantain sellers who were telling me that they sell the bunch for 40 cedis, but then they have to distribute it into smaller portions for 10 cedis, sometimes 5 cedis for those who cannot afford the bunch. And so that is the current situation here. As I speak to you now, everything is out. People have bought, and I'm standing here. I have an example of a bunch that went for 10 cedis. This bunch, a woman bought it where I'm standing. She bought this for 10 cedis. It's actually 2 of this for 10 cedis from the Ministry of Agriculture. Now, what they are asking for right now is rice and oil. But before I came here, I went to the ministry's office, and I realized they were selling rice, local rice. So there were 2 trucks full of rice at the ministry's office selling to people. I saw people at the people from the Kayayes. I also saw people from offices coming in. People took their breaks from the office to come and buy rice. And a bag of rice, Blessed, was going for at most 350 cedis. It actually depends on which one you're buying, either long grain or broken rice. The broken rice was going for as less as about 300 cedis. And so that is how much the Ministry of Agriculture is selling produce to the public as opposed to how much the market women are selling it for. And so the 5 kilo rice, when I asked them, was going for about 66 cedis for the long grain and 36 cedis for the broken grain rice. But when you come to the market and you ask for that same pack of rice, Some are telling me it's about 150 cedis. So you realize that there's discrepancies in the pricing system here. And so that is the current stuff I'm picking up from the Ministry of Agriculture and the market. Blessed.
That's my colleague Mamiesi Thompson with the latest from Makola Market. Mad rush indeed for all of the food items you've seen on display, largely plantain. And Isa, I want to bring you back in because there's the question as to what you intend to do, for instance, with cereals and grains. You're focusing for now, I guess, on plantain. You say that that's part of the pilot system you're running. But going forward, what plans do you have for rolling out a bigger picture? Yeah, so Isa, if you can hear me, I'm just asking about the other food items, because for now you're focusing on plantain. The question about, for instance, cereals and grains, what do you intend to do about that one? It appears that we've lost Isa Al-Hassan, Press Secretary to the Minister for Food and Agriculture. We'll definitely reconnect with him shortly. There's more from the minority on this because they are blaming the current food prices, which have led to record high inflation, on government cutting subsidies on what they believe is a monumental failure of the Planting for Food and Jobs program. Just listen to Eric Opoku once more.
Now, the rising food prices is not attributed. The subsidy on the fertilizer is being reduced now. It was 50%. The farmer was to pay 50%, while government pays 50%. Today, the farmer pays 85%, and government pays 15%. So it's like government has reduced substantially the amount of subsidy that was placed on the fertilizer for our farmers. And all over the world, agriculture is heavily subsidized. Unfortunately, at a time when the cost of inputs, the cost of agricultural inputs is going up, government is cutting down on subsidies on fertilizer that is supplied to the farmers. So this is the time government ought to have increased fertilizer subsidies as a means of bringing down cost of production. But the reality is that the subsidy on the fertilizer is being reduced now. The program was to decrease importation of rice by 49%. It was to decrease importation of maize by 30%. In fact, the intention of the program was to increase production of cereals and vegetables so that Ghana can cut down on our imports. Unfortunately, rice import is on the rise. Maize import is on the rise. So if a program fails to achieve its targets, would you describe that program as being successful? Certainly no. It has been a monumental failure, to the extent that before the introduction of the program, we were spending around 1.2 billion to import food. Now we are doing 2.4 billion.
Meanwhile, the minority is asking the president to dismiss the Minister for Agri, Dr. Ofori-Atta, who the president has described as one of the excellent and most performing ministers.
From those of us who understand the sector and have been monitoring the activities of the minister and the implementation of the policies that chorus across the country, you see clearly that the minister has not performed. In fact, I have always challenged the figures they churn out in respect of their produce. When they say we have produced this quantity of rice, I do challenge some of these things. Actually, I think that the Agri Minister has not performed at all. In fact, he engages in agricultural propaganda instead of working on the field to deliver the results. Because if at the time you assume office, our food import bill was around 1.2 billion, and today we are doing 2.4 billion, and you claim that you have done so much, you have produced enough food, then I don't know where you are coming from. Do you know that the poultry sector is almost collapsed? I don't know whether you have been following that sector. A time came, they had to sell their bears just for lack of maize. Meanwhile, planting for food and jobs was in operation. You recall that even in 2018, for the first time in the history of this country, Ghana had to go to ECOWAS food strategic stocks to borrow rice and maize. Have you ever heard that Ghana, in spite of our resources, in spite of the agricultural potential that we have, will go and then borrow rice and maize? We did it in 2018.
So you must go.
That was the time the minister said, under planting for food and jobs, we have produced maize in abundance. We have produced rice in abundance. Yet, we went and pleaded with ECOWAS to support us with some greens to enable us to run the school feeding program. And so, when it comes to performance, I think that the minister has been a dismal failure.
Isa Al-Hassan is back on with us. And Isa, I was just, of course, on the back of the report we're receiving from Makola, asking you what plans you have for instance, cereals and grains. Because for now, all we see is that plantain is on the market. But obviously, people need the cereals, people need maize, rice, and the others.
Yes.
So what plans do you have for that?
Yes, there are plans. My brother, what we have to appreciate is the fact that all the crops under the planting for food and jobs, we've recorded a lot of surpluses. What we are about to tackle is the post-harvest aspect of it. And that is why currently the minister is dealing with a legislation that will permanently solve this problem. And that is the Grains Development Authority. The Grains Development Authority, once the bill is passed into law, will become the permanent solution to the issue of grains. And the authority, just like we have been able to establish the Tree Cross Development Authority, will now have the power to go to the market and borrow on their own balance sheet and be able to raise enough money to buy these grains and stock them at our warehouses. So for now, that is the major policy that the minister is pursuing right now. So we're expecting that by the rise of the current parliament, we should be able to pass the Grains Development Authority bill and into law, and then that will permanently solve the issue of grains. So once that is available, now we'll have an authority that will go to the market and be able to purchase the food, the grains from the farm source and keep them as a buffer for emergency use.
For instance, I'm looking at the timeline you're working with by the time Parliament rises, but you do agree that if it comes to the figures and the statistics on consumption, cereals and grains top them. Of course, when it comes to rice, maize, millet, I mean, these are staples that we rely on so much. So you agree that just selling out plantain may not solve the entire problem on the market?
No, but my brother, we have grains, we have rice. We are selling rice right now.
Okay.
Nobody can tell me right now that we don't have grains on the market. Go to Techiman and see. People are asking for buyers. 2 months ago, 3 months ago, we were in Techiman, and we saw some of your colleagues were with us on the tour, and we saw what the people were saying. You see, the issue about transportation that has resulted in high prices cannot be the making of the ministry. When we talk about production and availability of these food items, we have it in an abundance. The issue about transportation and which has risen the cost of these food items is a topic we can have another time. And I'm very sure that the president and the government is doing something about it. But right now, as we are talking right now, you have your maize, you have your rice. In fact, we are selling several bags of rice here at the ministry at cheaper cost. I'm not too sure whether anybody has said they cannot get maize to buy. Those cereals are very much available and on the market. What I did say was that we need to tackle the fundamental issue. The fundamental issue is that government should be able to have the financial muscle to meet the competitive market and be able to buy these stocks available at the warehouses, so that when, in case there's an emergency, we are able to send them across to the people that need them.
Beyond Accra, what's the plan?
Yeah, that we have indicated. We started this program at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Today, you have seen that we went to Makola market. Tomorrow, we are going to Circle. And we have continuously been monitoring the development in other regions. Next week or two, we'll be hitting Ashanti region. And also, once we are done with Ashanti region, we also look at other regions. In fact, Minister has sent a circular to all the regional directors to monitor the food production in their various regions to see that any food that is available, so that we can make our arrangements and bring them to the regional capitals so that people can also enjoy. So we will not be limiting ourselves to Accra alone. We started with the Mofa premises. We moved to Makola today. Tomorrow we are at Circle. And next week or two, we are anticipating that we'll be in Ashanti region.
And as you can see on the screens right now, a lot of clamor, mad rush, if you want to call it, for the produce that you're selling. How do you intend to at least bring some level of sanity? It tells you that, of course, what you have may be in short supply, a reason for which you have lots and lots of people coming in for this produce that you're selling.
Not exactly. When you come to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, there's order and there's structures in place that deals with the sale and the buying and selling of these items. You have a desk that has been set by our enumerators who are there issuing receipts. But of course, when we got to Makola, we realized, this is a typical local market that you experience every time. This is no different from what happens on the ordinary market when the trucks come early in the morning. And that's how come you see this happening. But that is not what happens at the premises of Agric Ministry. Some of your colleagues were here for the past 3 days, and they saw that orderliness involved in the system.
Yeah, I get that. I'm asking the question. I'm asking the question because of what we're seeing on the screens right now. And of course, you are indicating to me that you may be moving from Makola, for instance, to Circle. That's another highly densely populated area. You're going to face the crowd again. So that's why I'm asking that question.
Yes. So this morning, when we encountered these challenges, we placed a call to the security agents. Police came around and maintained order, and then to contact again tomorrow. The police have agreed to set up barricades at the area and then fend off all the people so that they will be in a queue. So there will be orderliness tomorrow as we engage the buyers.
And finally, the minority feels that what's happening now is a vote of no confidence on your boss, the Minister for Agric. In fact, they're calling for heads to roll. They believe that the minister should be one of them. Do you feel that they're coming from a good place? Obviously, you tell me no, but of course they say what's happening on the streets right now is testament to that fact.
I think the minority will not be the best people to pass judgment on my boss. The people that are enjoying the cheaper prices of food will be the best people to pass judgment on the performance of the Minister for Food and Agriculture. Of course, my brother, if we have not experienced abundance of food right now, I think that the minority are in a good position right now to, as it were, pass judgment on the minister. When we came to power, we saw the growth of the agriculture sector. We all saw it. It was growing at 2%. Right now, agriculture is growing at 8.4% of the GDP. So nobody can tell me that we have not done very well. Of course, we know there are room for improvement, but we know very well that we have done well, and the Minister for Food and Agriculture, through all the numerous programs that he has implemented, has really succeeded in achieving our objectives.
Anyway, I would have to leave it now for here. Of course, we'll definitely follow up Ridwan, but we're grateful that you've been able to join us this afternoon here on The Pulse. And talking about grains, for instance, my colleague Mamiesi Thompson has been engaging some sellers at Makola Market where, of course, the PFJ market campaign was taking to today.
We realized that the produce here is local rice, the broken local rice, which is packaged in bags. And I can see right in this truck, a truck load of local rice here at the Ministry of Agriculture. I mean, from the beginning of this week, we've seen produce like tubers of yam, plantains that have been sold at arguably cheaper prices, you know, for the Ghanaians who have been complaining of traders increasing prices of food. So we are here today, and let me talk to this gentleman here who just bought a bag of rice. So please tell me, what's your name and what time did you get here?
I'm Godfred. I got here. I mean, I took my break time to come here and see if it was true that they were really selling here. So when I got here, I saw that they are selling the rice, which is a local rice. Yes, so I bought one bag, but I wanted a mix of it. So I took one of the long grain and 4 of the broken rice. Right. Yes.
And so how much did you get this for?
So in all, I'm paying 210.
210.
Yes.
How much would you have gotten this on the open market?
It will be around 300, 350.
Right.
Yes.
So you've made savings of over 100 cedis.
Yes.
Right. So where do you work and why did you decide to leave your office to come here at this time?
I work with Progress. So I just took time off. I mean, it's lunchtime, so I just rushed to come and buy and go back.
Will this change, will it change from going to the market to now coming to the Ministry of Agri to get your produce?
I think this place is small. I mean, if they can get a much bigger place so that people, because when you come here, parking is even an issue. Okay, so people working in the corporate institutions will be bringing their cars, unless maybe you have to park somewhere and walk and come to this place. So if they can get a much spacious place where people can easily park their cars and walk in, I mean, it will help.
So what do you make of this venture that the Ministry of Agri is taking?
It's a good initiative, and it will help people a bit to be able to save some money. I mean, we are heading towards Christmas, and if you do some of these things early, you can save money for those times and have some money for the kids. Right. Yes.
What's your name?
I'm Godfred.
So you heard Godfred right there. The main reason coming here instead of going to the market is getting or saving some money for his pocket, because you know during the Christmas season is when you need to buy more. You spend more actually, but if you're able to save during those times when most food products or food the prices of food have increased, then you can understand why he is here. Well, let me get closer to the truck where I can see a queue. You know, these people, half of them are kayayes. These come to help with those who are actually buying so that they can help them carry it. Hello, sweetheart. How are you?
Fine.
What's your name?
Maria.
What? I come to buy or you are coming to carry for somebody? Okay. Namumu fi namuba.
Every time station.
Would you be a chine buy and one mobile say mobile be ewa?
Ya na buy a baby suaka. Once I say Jumana and Yanti. Omodia Bahan Mamadu me pa eba no menye no masuya.
Station where fee market now or then or honum no and any home or Tony amount betting me.
I say I say Omodi Bahanum and Tama on Mobi and Bahobi.
Oh, sir. It's a mobile no time ben a mobe do han a humanity sell.
Oh, a Jumana, Yana Cacra.
Car when you know a chain when you market one.
And a scamming a chance car, I mean, at the piano.
Trips are in our end.
Oh, and a manage my brain.
Oh, sir. Your friend saying.
From a Hindu.
And of course, that's the situation across the capital here in Accra. You're with us on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. When we get back, we'll talk about the National Association of Law Students and their concerns about a possible mass failure again, this time around in terms of entering the law school. We'll talk about that shortly.